I take Nancy Styler back to the scene of the crime, the mountain home where her husband confessed he murdered Nancy Pfister. When Trey came here and he drove down this driveway towards this place, do you think he had murder on his mind?
Oh my God, no. No, he was coming to talk to her. He didn't have murder on his mind. I asked him that over and over again, and he's reassured me that he was just coming to talk.
Instead, he beat the socialite to death with a hammer in a moment of madness that robbed Aspen of a celebrated member of one of its most prominent families.
The family was this mountain, and I hate to see this black spot on the mountain.
Despite her husband's confession, many in Aspen still suspect Nancy Styler had something to do with leaving that black spot here. And I would confront her point blank with those persistent suspicions in a blunt sit-down interview. I want to ask you some difficult questions.
Absolutely.
No lies, no half-truths, no self-preservation.
Absolutely.
Did you kill Nancy Pfister?
Nothing to do with it.
You had nothing to do with the murder whatsoever?
Nothing.
You weren't there in the moments after she was killed?
It was 20 miles away.
You weren't there to help clean up the scene or to move the body?
No, and I would have done a better job. The job that was done was not a thinking mind.
And you can look me in the eye now and say that even after the fact, accepting that you weren't there at the time of the murder, you had no knowledge whatsoever of your husband's actions before or after that murder. You just simply didn't know.
Wasn't even in my thought process. Didn't even consider it.
Phone records showed, of course, that your cell phone was there at the time.
Right.
That was a decision that your husband mysteriously took just to take your phone to the crime scene.
Because his was out of batteries, and he was trying to let me sleep. This isn't the first time he's done it.
So, Nancy, this was simply a case of guilt by association, guilt by matrimony, as it's been described. I mean, this entire case that was built by the investigators, by the detectives, by the prosecution, all of it was bungled, all of it was false.
Correct.
There are many people in this town, some of them high-ranking, that still believe you either got away with murder yourself or you got away with being an accessory to murder. If indeed you were concealing a dark secret of that magnitude, it would be an enormous and permanent burden for you, I imagine.
Oh my God, no, I can't even imagine it.
Do the events of that night, do they still play over in your mind?
Absolutely. And I made him go over it and over it and over it for me. I made him tell me, because I couldn't believe it.
You made him tell you the gruesome, unbearable detail.
I made him tell me everything. How long was it before she didn't have a pulse? I wanted to know everything because
Why? Why did you want to know that?
Because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I thought that he was still saying this just so I could go free. I couldn't believe this. I needed to know, what did you do with this? Why did you do this?
When you heard that he had killed himself?
I was happy because he's at peace. He was tormented. Can you imagine a gentleman knowing what he did to that woman, her family, and his own family? What he did to me. To take my life and switch it, throw it all away. He was thinking he could get away with it and we could go on and live our lives. And I can't imagine that man, even if he got away with it, I can't imagine him living with that. He was a gentle man. It would have destroyed him.
If you did get a chance to talk to him now, what would you say?
That I love him and I forgive him. And I wish that I could have gotten more help for him. And I wish that people like Nancy Pfister would get more help. It's not one person that causes all of this. It's personalities and illnesses that are one on top of another.
I've got to disagree with you, Nancy. They would say to you, it absolutely was one person who took a hammer and ended her life.
Absolutely. But it's not one person who, there's more to it there. You can't take a person and put it for their 1 minute, that 1 minute deed that my husband did. that awful moment there. You can't judge his whole life by that, and he didn't do it unprovoked. And no one deserves to die that way. I don't care if they're the devil.
But you're saying there may have been part of her that contributed to it?
I would say that yes, everyone contributed a little bit.
Part of Nancy's actions that led to her getting bludgeoned to death that night?
Absolutely.
That would be enormously hurtful for her family to hear.
It's the truth. Are you saying that if Nancy had been any other person and never did anything, she wouldn't be in the position that she's in? I'm not saying anything she did made her deserve to die, but I'm saying that it did fuel the fire. If she hadn't fueled the fire with him or anyone else, because there were a lot of other people that were upset with her actions, that she wouldn't be in that position.
But there are people fueling the fire, as you call it, all around America every day.
Every day.
And the response to that is not to take a hammer and...
He's absolutely wrong, absolutely sick, absolutely mentally ill. That's not the product of a working mind. No, I'm not saying that what he did was right. It's absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Nancy Styler has left Aspen, but whether she will ever be completely absolved of having anything to do with Nancy Pfister's murder is a question only time will answer.
One more footnote on this story. Nancy Pfister's assistant, Kathy Carpenter, has since moved out of Aspen. Now, she continues to maintain she had nothing at all to do with Nancy's death. We reached out to her for comment on our story, but our calls were not returned. For more details on the Rocky Mountain High Society murder, you can visit our website, crimewatchdaily.com.